got to be one of the more frustrating days at the ballpark you've had here at Mississippi State. But it seemed like it kind of got away from you there in the middle innings. But what were you seeing at the plate? It seemed like it was difficult for you guys to barrel some balls up.
Long, just long. I don't know if we were trying to hit a homer today because the wind was blowing out, but we were around everything, under everything. Just not a competitive day offensively.
Robbie.
You had it set up well there. You got the bunt to put two in scoring position. You had 2, 3, 4 coming up. I mean, what did you see from Dakota and Hunter there in those last two at bats?
Just swung and missed. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. We were big all day long. We were big all day long, and not just those two, everybody. And we just stayed big. We did, you shorten up, you put a ball in play. We're probably still playing, or the game's over. And that's who you want at the plate. Those are two of the best players in the country. You want them at the plate right there, and unfortunately, we don't get contact.
Doug.
Coach, it's game 30, and we saw Gage Haley for the first time. Can you talk a little bit about his performance, maybe what the plan was there?
I thought he was pretty good. We're just trying to get another guy or two in there in the midweek. I mean, obviously you can tell we fall behind in every midweek game. We just can't. Trying to get some guys some work, trying to get them out there so they can help us a little more on the weekends. And right now the weekends, you're trying to hold your arms and stack them for the weekend, and but other guys got to step up. And hey, I thought Gage was great. I thought he mixed 3 pitches for strikes. I think he had to calm down a little bit after his first inning, or his first hitter. But I thought he did a pretty good job.
Steph.
What did you see from Logan today? Kind of what went into his struggles?
Just not competing in the strike zone. I mean, that's the frustrating thing is we're leading the game, and we bring him in to face the right part of the lineup that matches up to him. We don't walk a guy, hit a guy, walk a guy, and then we're behind and we have to throw balls, and they hit a couple balls. I mean, it's we create their momentum. Did the same thing this past weekend. Like until we stop all that, then it's hard to pitch. It's hard to pitch when you keep putting guys, especially 9 holes. That's what we have a tendency right now to put the 9-hole on instead of just pounding the strike zone. And, hey, if they get a hit, I'm fine with it. But unfortunately, on a really offensive day, we don't pound the strike zone.
Steve.
You mentioned the whole thing about the wind. Sometimes it's a negative thing to walk out there and see the wind blowing out because you mentioned guys want to elevate everything. Did you sense later in the ball game that maybe that calmed down a little bit because you were able to kind of string some bats together?
I don't know. I still think we were long there the last couple of bats. So Johnny Long, he's always short. Hits that ball in there. Heisek gets one. I bring Jackson McKenzie off the bench. He wasn't part of it all day, but for the most part, we were just long and under balls all day long and wrapped around balls. I mean, we had first and third multiple times. I don't know if it was 2 or 3, and we hit the double plays. I mean, those runs right there in itself, you win the ball game just to keep the game closer. But we just wrap around everything.
Benjamin.
Early start time and the later crowd kind of forced you guys to sort of bring your own energy and use the dugout. Do you feel like that was there throughout the game?
Actually, they were great. They were great pregame. They were great early. We've been here early since this morning. I didn't see any issues there. Unfortunately, once we fell behind, it felt like we became very flat at that point. So I don't know. We've had to play from behind on every midweek, so we should be used to it. And we've come back from behind, and we've had good. These midweek games, you're keeping arms for the weekend, and you got to be a little more offensive. And unfortunately, today we weren't.
Steve.
You had some guys that have been on the shelf for a little while. What's the possibility or probability of getting some guys like maybe Joe or Nate or Bradley back this weekend?
We're working in that right direction. I mean, they're all improving. So hopefully they'll be available here soon.
Steph.
You see Nolan obviously get the start on the bump and in the lineup. What did you think of kind of how he handled that today?
I thought he pitched good. He's not giving us great at bats right now for a great hitter. He's a really good hitter. He's got to be more selective. He's got to work counts a little bit more. He's just excited to hit right now, and it's a lot of swing. And if you watch him in BP, he's one of our best guys. He's a super talented player, but he's got to slow it down a little bit and see the baseball and work counts and give us a little bit more.
Robbie.
We've seen some progress in SEC play, especially this year, and you guys have been right there the last 2 weekends. How important is this weekend to win the weekend and have a big weekend against a good Georgia team?
It's huge. I mean, we got to go out there and play really good baseball against a really good team. And that's how SEC play is every week. Every weekend is huge. Everything that you can get, you are scrambling to get every win that you can in this league. And so we're off tomorrow. We'll have really good practice on Thursday and get ready to play great baseball this weekend.
Steve.
initial impressions of Georgia, it seems like pitching sometimes is a little hit or miss, but they're a team that can hurt you at the plate. I mean, they can win a slugfest or at times win just a regular ball game. What are your impressions of them
Yeah,
offensively?
I think it's 80-something homers, and it's the OPS. I mean, they walk and get hit HBPs. They they have a high on base percentage. I mean, so they kind of work it both ways there, and then just wait for the homer. So it's a walk, it's an HBP, it's a homer, and create some offense that way. They got some good players in that lineup, and they got some good arms in there too.
We'll pick up where we left off. You know, kind of what you see from the team today. You know, it seemed like kind of a weird game, and you kind of rallied late and just came up a little bit short.
Yeah, I think, midweeks, when you're a Power 5 school, are games where you cannot mentally check out. And obviously this season, we've had some midweeks where we won, but at the same time, we kind of just, I wouldn't say we were, not locked into the game, but we weren't treating it as if it was a Friday night SEC game. And that's why we end up being in these situations in the ninth inning where we're having to compete and fight back. And today things weren't able to go the way we would like them to. But that's kind of what I think ended up happening today.
Steph?
Coach has talked about some of these midweeks where you guys have fallen behind. I guess just how important is it to get an early lead and to kind of build an early lead in these games?
Yeah, like for me, as someone who has been a part of a mid-major program and has also been part of a Power 5 program, for the Power 5 team, this game is meant for the younger kids. This is meant for them to get at-bats. This is for them to see, like for example, Steven Spolita. This game's meant for him to get better because it shouldn't be a pressure game where we have to bring in our good arms that are going to be used on the weekend because we're not doing well. And I think for the mid-major team, as someone who played for it, we love these games. I love these games because we have nothing to lose. And that's the aspect that I think we weren't able to compete against because we kind of just have expectations for these games that we're going to win because we're the better team. So I think that's kind of all I got for that one.
Robbie?
You mentioned that. I mean, this is supposed to be kind of your off day,
Yeah.
so to speak, and you come in there late in the ball game. You guys are down. What are you trying to bring there late in the game to try to get the team back on track? I mean,
For myself, I think it would be more of just the fact that I'm just going to have I'm doing everything I can to keep my defense clean, and that's kind of the reason why I usually come in, just to make sure like there's no situations where the pitcher might not be comfortable throwing to a catcher with the runner in a scoring position, or just a little bit of experience. I can kind of manage things better and have a better idea of what's going on. So that's kind of
Doug?
We scored a run in the first inning, and then got the second one in the eighth, neither one off of a hit. And then suddenly in the ninth inning, everybody's hitting and you're scoring runs. I know it's not this simple, but can you put your finger on something that happened or was said or something that you could put in practice again?
I say it all the time in the dugout when we're in these games, like for us, and during these games, it's almost like we have to get punched in the face so many times for us to wake up. And that's an aspect that I think we need to improve on as a team, because these games aren't meant for us to fall short or even be close games. So I think, as soon as the ninth inning hit, we were like, all right, we got to wake up. We got to turn it on. We got to figure out some way to put it together. And today we just fell short.
Steve?
Spolita has started the last two midweek games, with Joe being out a little bit. I know you're kind of the mentor there. What are you seeing from Stephen right now, and how would you assess his first couple starts?
I think it's great. As a freshman, or as someone, who has been in that role of being the guy who comes in for the midweeks as a freshman, it's a little bit of pressure, but, as games go by, you start getting more comfortable, and I can tell as you talk to him in the dugout that he's going to come along, and I think his future is incredibly bright. I think his bat is going to take him a long way in his baseball career, and I think as he gets older and he matures and he gets more experience behind the plate, he's going to do very well in his future.
Benjamin?
Coach was talking about a lot of the guys who were just trying to hit home runs, seem to have been blown out. He mentioned that you sort of always keep your approach short, and you were able to get that big hit in the ninth inning. Do you feel like that sort of served you well on a day like today when everyone was sort of just trying to
Yeah.
do something big?
I think like after 5 years, I know I'm not a home run hitter, so I kind of just accepted the fact that swinging for the fences isn't my approach. I think more of just finding holes in the infield and just getting on base in general. Like I don't want to do too much, and Hunter Hines and Dakota, like they are guys who they can bang balls, and like that's kind of like what makes them their superstar talents and make them great players. But I think maybe they were trying to hit home runs in that situation, or maybe they weren't. You know, if Hunter Hines or DJ did hit a home run, we'd all be saying they're, you know, thank God they hit a home run. So that's the part of baseball that's just such an unfortunate part of it.
Steph?
You talked too about, you know, the midweek opportunities that, you know, for these younger players. I guess how as someone who's experienced that, do you balance, you know, the pressure with wanting to perform, but also with the opportunity that, you know, these younger players have? How do they kind of, you know, flush out the pressure aspect of it?
Well, I think the pressure aspect came because we started making these midweeks a problem. And I think if we establish, you know, a midweek game for these young kids is going to be something where they're just going to go in, get their reps, and we're going to win, they wouldn't probably have that pressure. But I think we almost I would say have a fear of these games because, you know, it's been pretty consistent of what happens throughout the past couple of weeks. So I think I think the older guys should take the blame on that. Like, I take the blame on that. I think us as a team, you know, they shouldn't have to have pressure, or Steven Split shouldn't feel pressure to play a midweek game. But at the same time, that's part of the game, and that's what makes you better, and that's also being a part of an SEC team and playing with the Mississippi State jersey on. You're going to have a lot of pressure, and that's what makes players great.
Robbie?
Taking you back to this weekend, we saw the video where Lowe got the shirt after the game and he decided to give it to you. And we've heard some of your teammates talk about kind of your impact on this team. I mean, what's your thoughts on, you know, your relationship with this team and the leadership you've kind of brought to the table, and what your role is on this team?
You know, before I got here, I really had no expectations of playing, and I was just so bought into just being a team guy and taking everything that I've learned from my freshman year to now and just flooding it into the brains of the younger kids, because I think it's just so vital that they just learn. Especially kids on the bench who are frustrated. It's mid-season. They're like, you know, every kid that's a freshman here is a superstar. They've never sat on the bench. They've probably never even been on a team that's lost before. And I think my knowledge and everything that I've taken from my past 5 years, I want to give it to them so they're able to learn and become a better teammate. Because I think at the end of the day, you could be a superstar, but if you're not a good teammate, it's not going to make you a better baseball player.